Welcome back. President Trump is facing a brewing revolt from his MAGA base after his Justice Department shot down conspiracy theories tied to convicted sex offender, the late Jeffrey Epstein. Conspiracy theories which the president and multiple top DOJ officials had previously amplified. In a recent memo, the Justice Department said it won't release any more evidence in the Epstein case and reaffirmed that Epstein was not murdered, died by suicide, and that he did not maintain a client list. Now, that has prompted fury from Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, who has threatened to quit over Attorney General Pam Bondi's handling of this matter, and that is according to a source who has spoken with Bongino. Bongino's anger at Bondi and skepticism of the DOJ's conclusions is being echoed by the president's loyal base. And it was on full display by some of the MAGA's most influential media personalities at a gathering of young conservatives this weekend in Florida.
How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation? It looks like it's going to be, and now this is like the who's going to be off the island first, right?
Do you think she really gets MAGA? I don't think so. She wouldn't have behaved this way if she did. And now it's a time for choosing. It's a time for choosing. We're about to lose Dan for sure, and maybe Cash too, if she doesn't go.
The fact that the U.S. government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist, was too much for me. And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that.
President Trump is tamping down on any rift and standing by his Attorney General Pam Bondi, appearing with her this weekend and defending her as, quote, fantastic on social media. Joining me now is NBC News senior national politics reporter Matt Dixon, who's been covering this story for us. And Matt, glad you are here to help us kind of put this all in perspective. When you look at this firestorm in MAGA world, is this really a creation of the president's own making?
To some degree, I was at that conference in Tampa that you just played some clips from, and there really is sort of a Frankenstein's monster element to all of this, sort of the scandal or the controversy that's been created really over a few years, in the sense that the Trump campaign had promised its base transparency on the issue. They had talked about releasing the files, the Epstein files, to the extent there are in client lists. And now they're in this moment where they're trying to walk that all back. But they've created this sort of intensity with their base, and the MAGA movement that Trump created really wants answers on this. And the idea that the carpet has been pulled out from underneath them so abruptly really isn't sitting well with them. Trump has, traditionally been very Teflon with his base, where he can have missteps, he can have things they might slightly disagree with, but they always come home. But I can tell you, in the convention center in Tampa this weekend, it felt different. It felt like this is going to be a little more difficult. And to your point, part of that is, because Trump himself promised so much on this issue and now appears to be walking it back.
There was definitely a bubbling energy there where you were. And we heard Megyn Kelly say she thinks Bongino is probably out. Maybe Kash Patel would follow. Is that your sense based on the reporting?
I think the White House, and Trump has said this publicly, is going to do everything they can to just sort of power through this, to try to, divert attention. It feels like Bongino could be on the outs, and there was initial reporting that if he left, Patel would leave as well, and there was sort of a rift between those two and Attorney General Pam Bondi. Director Patel has since put out a tweet publicly saying that he is not leaving, he's going to stay with the administration. I think, again, that's sort of the effort to try to move beyond this moment, even if that might be a little more difficult for the White House. So Bongino is a podcaster, had a large media following, and he is among the people who helped amplify the Epstein stuff. So I think there is some sense he wants to preserve here and wants to make sure that he still has credibility with Trump supporters in the MAGA base when and if he leaves the administration.
So that credibility question leads me to my next thought. It's not the first time we've seen the president sort of annoy his base. That happened when he engaged in the bombings on Iran, those who didn't want him to be involved in foreign wars. Does this anger over the Epstein files feel different in some way? Does it have more staying power?
It feels like it. It's always hard to tell because you don't want to sort of be captured by the moment necessarily, where there's the most intense reaction and then it goes away. But being in that room in Tampa, I've covered a lot of Trump events. I've covered a lot of conservative conventions. It certainly felt different. And again, because Trump built some credibility with his base on this issue, it was a main talking point for a very long time. So to the degree that you can put the toothpaste sort of back in the MAGA tube, feels like it might be a little more difficult this time because, one, the allegations are terrible, that the Epstein, and two, excuse me, the idea that messing with children and doing things like this has become a main tenet of sort of Trump's messaging, of MAGA's messaging. So this hits home. This is sort of guttural for a lot of his supporters. So it does feel a little different than, say, a policy fight or an issue over foreign policy. And that feeling was really palpable in Tampa this weekend.
Layers of different things, from accountability to those sort of grievous crimes that you're talking about. Matt, thank you so much. I know you will keep us up to the loop on the latest in the turbulence in MAGA world for sure.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.